Hey, what's up everyone? The Dan Sandwich here, and today I'm back in Automation and BeamNG.drive, and today we are looking at this car that I have built here. It is my first attempt at like a drift car. I think drifting in video games is super fun. Mess around with it a lot in like Forza and some in BeamNG.drive and stuff like that, but definitely one of the most fun things I think you can do in a racing game. I'm not necessarily an expert at it, so keep that in mind when I get to the BeamNG section. But I do find it a lot of fun, and I thought, why not make a drift car in automation? So I actually built this car a while ago with the intention of making a video on it. And then I was like tweaking the engine and I messed things up and like, all right, I'll get back to this eventually. So here it is. I did end up building a whole new engine. I don't really, I guess, have to know this part because it's not like you know what I'm doing. But anyway, I just feel like, filling that information in. Also, one of the reasons why I decided to go with the car that I had already built is because I have been playing way too much Baldur's Gate 3, and I haven't really had time to mess with automation stuff in a little bit. So I was like, you know what? Why not feature a car that I have already basically finished, so I don't have to spend hours and hours building a brand new car. But also, like I said, this is a car that I've had kind of the intention of making a video on for a while, and I just never really got around to it. So I got back to it, made a few tweaks, like I said, built a new engine, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think probably the taillights and headlights probably could be a little bit better, but I think it suits the body style pretty well. So overall, I'm still pretty happy with it. Really liking the stance on the front wheels there. You'll see once we get it into BeamNG.drive, it like actually does look like it has like the drift steering rack almost. Like when you turn it, you can really see like inside of the wheel well, like super well. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. But you'll see once we get it into BeamNG. So yeah, it actually works super well for that. But yeah, it's super cool, and I really like the way it turned out. I got a roll cage in there. Pretty basic interior again. It's obviously going to be stripped out because it is a drift car, but I made it a manual, not necessarily a sequential manual, although that is a sequential shifter. You might notice if you know a lot about automation, there is like a beta version of the next update available. I'm not messing with that just because I don't know. There's too much stuff in there that it's experimental, and I just kind of want something that's reliable. So I'm not using the beta version of that. So I'll just wait for that to be finished before I start actually using it. But I do like the interior. It's very much drift car in here. Stripped out interior. I really like the roll cage. I painted it the same color as the body, and I think it looks super cool because of that. But I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I like, the way this hood formed is pretty cool with like the ram air intake there and the vents and stuff like that. I'm really happy with the way all that looks. So let's do a quick rundown of what we got here. So I'm using a 3-liter inline-6 twin-turbo engine. It's making almost 700 horsepower, and it's super fun, I feel like, to use in BeamNG.drive. Dual overhead cam, 4-valve cylinder, aluminum head, billet steel, crank, lightweight forged con rods, and forged pistons. I got VVT on the intake, and then you can see that stuff there. Some of these decisions I make, I'm not even sure why I do it. It's just like, that feels right, so I'll do that. But yeah, twin turbocharge, pretty basic turbo setup here. I increased the turbine AR ratio a little bit, but I didn't really mess with it too much because I was already getting the horsepower figure I wanted. I wanted to get around 700 horsepower, and so I was already there, so I didn't really mess with it too much beyond that. Multi-point EFI with a single configuration, and then a race intake manifold. Of course, we're using race headers. We're using no mufflers at all because this is a track car, a drift car, so it's not intended for street use. So I'm not considering any of the sound dampening measures you might use if you're actually making a road car. Like I said, it is rear wheel drive manual 5-speed transmission because I feel like that's good for a drift car. I limited the top speed so you're not it's not going to be doing any like super high speed top speed runs or anything like that, because again, when you're drifting, you're not necessarily looking for the highest speed possible. You want to spin the tires and get it sliding, but you're not necessarily going super fast. But 175 miles per hour is still pretty fast. Got alloy wheels, sport compound tires. You can look at the tire setup there. I'm using carbon ceramic brakes because that's going to be essential for stopping this car when it needs to stop. Single seat configuration, again, it's basic. Obviously you want to go as lightweight as possible when you're doing something like this. I do have ABS turned on. I find that still works pretty well for this sort of car, but I might take that off just for realism sakes. But I've already set it up like this and it works, so I'm not gonna mess with it too much beyond that. And then you can see my suspension settings there as well. Now, I didn't change the camber too much from what it was at in here, but instead I went into fixtures and advanced trim settings and then messed with the stuff in here. So you can see like the camber setting in here is what I adjusted. I find that works better in BeamNG that way. If you actually change the way the wheels are oriented in the advanced trim settings, because even though it says it's aesthetic only, it actually does carry over for stuff like the wheels and things like that. So I decided to do that because I found it works a little bit better when translating it. Because if you do it in here, then like the suspension bottoms out and stuff like that, it becomes problematic. So that's what I decided to do, and I find it works pretty well for getting the right angle and things like that for drifting. But yeah, that's the drift car that I built. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, all right, I can do the drift car and I can show how it drifts in BeamNG.drive, but I'm not going to necessarily be able to get like a lap around the test track, for example, or even necessarily if I try to take it off of the car jump arena or whatever, it's probably going to fishtail all over the place and crash before I can even get it off the jump. So what I decided to do is make a second version of this that is also a race car as well. So let's take a look at that real quick. All right, and here is that one. Now I left it basically the same. The only things that I changed, again, I reduced the camber on the front wheels so it's not, spinning around all over the place. And then I also increased the gearing so it has a higher top speed. So instead of having the short gearing, which is good for drifting, I increased the gearing so it's better at top speed. Obviously, I changed the color, the body color to blue instead of orange to differentiate it as well. But I kept everything else basically the same. The engine's the same. All that stuff is the same as well. I did upgrade it to a 6-speed gearbox instead of a 5-speed because, again, it's going to help on the racetrack. But I left, basically everything else the same as I mentioned before. But yeah, just made it a little bit better for track use. Now, I haven't tested this version out yet, so I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to do. But, I'm fairly confident that it's going to be okay based off of my previous car building experiences in automation. But like I said, I wanted to have a version of this car that I could take to the track and do like a performance run instead of just doing like drifting and stuff. All right, I feel like I've talked about these cars enough. Let's take this into BeamNG.drive and actually showcase what these things can do. All right, here we are in BeamNG.drive now. This is the industrial map. So it's got like this cool like drift course set up here. It's a really fun way to kind of test stuff out like this. Again, the decals I put on there and stuff like that don't really show up too well. Well, I mean, I guess they look all right. It's just, I gotta get a new graphics card at some point. But here we are. This is obviously the drift version. You can tell by the orange color and the crazy stance on the front wheels. This thing is absolutely insane, as you can probably tell, but it does slide really, really well. You can do these kind of controlled donuts very easily. Again, this is a pretty tight drift course, and this car is pretty long, but I find it does really well anyway. I kind of wish the camera would kind of stay put in BeamNG. I don't know if there's a way to change that setting or something. Oh, jeez, it crashed right into the wall there. I'm still going. The wheels aren't... It didn't mess up the... Oh, no, wait. Yeah, I did mess up the wheels, it looks like. Reset this. Again, I'm not the best at drifting in BeamNG. I just don't have a lot of experience with it based off of how much time I actually spend playing this game for like drifting and stuff like that. Normally I'm trying to drive fairly realistically, racing and stuff like that. But it does still like drift super well as I almost crash into that stack of pallets or whatever over there. Let's take it into this more confined space here and drive it here. Oh, almost saved it. Again, I'm sure someone who is more experienced at drifting and BeamNG is probably going to be able to do this stuff a little bit better. Also, the engine is quite loud, of course. I have the volume turned down quite a bit, and it's still, like, super, super loud as I crash into another thing. Oh, I lost the front passenger side wheel entirely. Can I do, like, can I get, like, this kind of a gymkhana thing going? That's not too bad through there. Couldn't really step the back out too much. Lost the rear diffuser, of course, but still going. Nice little hop down to this section here. Actually handled that drop spectacularly well. Let's take this little ramp up here. Can you slide the ramp? Oh no! Oh god! I smashed the front end. But just like a really fun car to mess around with, honestly. You know what I really want to try in this car? Let's try some, like, canyon-style drifting. Alright, here I am. What map is this? Is this the small island? Jungle Rock Island is where I'm at right now. It looks like it's got some pretty... I've never really messed around with this map much, but looks like it has some, like, pretty fun, like, tight, twisty, like, canyon-like roads. It might be a little bit too narrow for this car, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna see... I'm just going to keep going. Basically, you can see here, like, this winding road right there. I'm going to kind of try to take that all the way down there and see how this goes. I might crash a bunch of times. I may not be able to complete this, but I'm going to at least try it. Let's go. I try to, like, drift as much as I can. I had the handbrake there. Not really the best slide around that turn. That was pretty decent. Oh, it spun out. Oh, it spun out. Okay. Decent recovery, I guess. Let's say I planned that. Oh, man. Yeah, I gotta really get better at, like, feathering the throttle. It'd probably help if I was using, like, realistic shift mode, but I'm just not that good at this game yet, so... Oh, yeah. Oh, man! I didn't realize there's a little, like, off-road sort of section right there. Okay, we lost the rear splitter, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Or diffuser, I mean. Oh, jeez. Alright. So yeah, I definitely need... I definitely probably could use a little bit of more practice drifting in BeamNG. But still a really fun car to mess around with, I feel. That was pretty good right there. Okay. Okay, okay. I think I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with this thing. That was a pretty decent slide around there. Like, is this where we wanted to end up? Yeah. Okay. 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 Yeah, we did all right. So yeah, there's a little bit of a canyon style drift run. I think I've spent enough time messing around with this thing. You can kind of see what it's about. So let's jump into the race car version of this car and take it to the test track. All right, we are in the race version. I forgot to mention it's called the DSM Napalm. I felt like that was a fun name for like a sports car. But yeah, I can already tell this is a lot more stable than the drift car. It still does want to slide a little bit. Obviously, it was a drift car first, and then I kind of tweaked it into being a race car. So it's definitely going to have, you know, some drift car tendencies, of course. But as you can see there, pretty flatly through that hairpin curve right there. Hairpin turn? I can't talk right now. But anyway, it's pretty fast. Up to 175 right there before getting to this turn. Starting to slow it down a little bit. Around this turn right here. Pretty good around that. Again, carbon ceramic brakes, so it's going to stop really well. It's good for that chicane right there. So I'm not really... realize I'm not talking very much. I'm just kind of focusing on driving this thing because it's a good car to drive, honestly. Around the racetrack, especially. And we're already to the final turn. Pretty drama-free. Looks like it's going to be a pretty decent lap. Somewhere going to be in around the 2:16. Oh, nice stylish crash at the end too. Flipped over a bunch of times. That's pretty funny. Let's see where that landed at. Number 18. So that puts it above the -15 version of the Tesla Rasa, and then right below our Porsche V8 Street Racer. So not the best race car, but not bad either. Pretty solid, I think. 2 minutes 16 seconds. Again, I've made so many like super high performance cars. It's kind of hard to gauge where it ends up on there, but I feel like that's pretty decent for a kind of a drift car turned race car. So let's see how this does at the drag strip. All right, drag strip time. Probably not going to be the best time here because it is rear wheel drive. It is a regular 6-speed manual transmission. And it's still running sport tires. I forgot to change these tires out for slick tires, but still a 10.8 quarter mile. That's pretty good. That's good for number 20 on the list. But again, I've had a lot of really crazy fast vehicles. But that's pretty decent, I think. All right, of course, we are back in the drift car, and we're back at the car jump arena. So just to see how far this thing can go off. I think I'm going to send them both off just to see what the difference is. I mean, I hope I can get this thing to the bottom of the ramp without it spinning out. That's my hope, at least. I think it could do it. But of course, if you have been enjoying this video, if you like the stuff I do in automation, liking the video and subscribing to the channel are two really good ways to do that. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. That really makes me feel better and stuff. But anyway, let's take this thing off the car jump arena. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I am going to be putting both of these cars up on the BeamNG mod site as well. There's going to be a link in the description for both of these as well. So if you want to check them out, you can try them out for yourself and see how you like them. All right, take this thing off the car jump. Oh, little squirrely off there as well, but so far keeping it pretty straight. And yeah, it's hopping out at 178 because that is the top speed set in automation. And we're going about 350 there as well. And yeah, that's pretty good. And stops right at like the flagpole there as well. So let's see how the race car version of this does. All right, time to see how far the race car version will go. Should be a little bit farther because it can go faster. Not gonna be limited by top speed like the other one was. Getting up to 192 off the jump there. And yeah, it definitely goes a little bit further. That's almost to the 450 mark. And flipping over quite a bit more. That's going to land in the pool instead of by the flagpole. So there you go. There we have it. There's a drift car and then a race car version of the same one. Let me know what you think about these two cars in the comments if you want to comment. And I hope you had fun. I had fun. Let's have, I don't know. I'll see you in the next one.